Hey everybody, it's Annie and I'm here today with my December wrap-up. I got a new haircut and I'm kind of leaning into the mask look a little bit, so yeah, I'm very happy with it. So, I did not read that much in December. And I gotta be honest, I was a little bit dreading this wrap-up because they always take me so long to film and edit because I always read like over 20 books, but I only read 13 books in December because I had a lot going on. I was moving, it was the holidays, things happened, but I had quite a good reading month. So as always, my wrap-ups are structured with the books that were my least favorite in the beginning, and it's gonna go up to my favorite book of the month at the end. So make sure you watch till the end and let's get started. So first we have Portrait of the Unknown Lady, which I read for the last pick for the Found in Translation book club. I kind of wish I didn't read this book. It was a 2-star for me. It was just kind of boring. It was very short, so it's not like I wasted a lot of my time, but I didn't really understand the point of it. Maybe it's a translation issue, I don't know, but it just felt kind of like wasting my time. Basically, it is this art person, art journalist, investigator person going around trying to follow the trail of this famous art forger in the Argentinian art world who has since died, and like this woman is kind of obsessed with finding out more about her. And I don't know, I mean, it's not something I usually would have picked up. We picked it for the book club. Honestly, I'm not even sure if the other people read this book, but it was just wasn't my usual genre, and I feel like it was too short to really say anything. It was so short. The audiobook was only like 3 hours long, so yeah, it wasn't my thing. The next book, ooh, don't hate me, I'm so sorry. It's Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. I will be unhauling this after this video. I'm pretty disappointed. I think my problem with it is that it was just too long. I did enjoy These Violent Delights and the other one, that duology. That was very Romeo and Juliet retelling. It was very cool. It wasn't my favorite thing, but it was enjoyable. This one, I liked the main character. She was my favorite character from the original duology, so that's why I was so excited about this. But it felt very drawn out. I didn't really feel like I was rooting for the romance, and the fact of the other duology is that, you know, the Romeo and Juliet characters were the big draw, like they were the big thing. So I know Chloe Gong can write a good romance. I just wasn't feeling it. I do love that the main character is Demi in this. That was amazing representation, and I was very happy about that. But all in all, for me, it just didn't grab me as much as I wanted it to. That's not to say it's a bad book. Maybe it was the wrong time for me to read it. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood. I don't know, but it was about a 3 for me. I would say this is a 3. So I did like it. It just wasn't my favorite. I also want to mention that in Romeo and Juliet, the fantastical elements I feel like were really well incorporated into the story a little bit better than they are here, because whenever they were mentioned, like there's this thing where the main character is kind of immortal, and I know that it stems from the duology because this is a spin-off and she was a side character in the original duology, so like there has to be that thread of fantastical elements going. But personally, I would have probably enjoyed this more if this were just plain historical, rather than having to shoehorn those fantastical elements into here. I think that's how I feel about it. And now something I'm kind of sad about. This was also about a 3 or maybe 3.25. The Dawn of Youngchen by FCE. You know that I absolutely loved the Kyoshi duology. And this is telling the story of another avatar named Youngchen. She's obviously an air avatar. And I was so excited for this. I shelled out for the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and I just was disappointed because this says The Dawn of Youngchen. okay, but it's not really, like, she's not the focus of the story, and I was really disappointed. It really focuses on some, I forget his name even because I was kind of annoyed the whole time. It focuses on this waterbender boy who kind of finds himself entangled with Young Chen, and he's like kind of a thief, and like he has troubles and stuff, and he ends up like stealing from the Avatar without knowing it, and then she, instead of punishing him because she's, you know, an air nomad and she's better than that, instead of punishing him, she makes him kind of become her companion and work for her, but they become friends and, you know, whatever. But I was just really kind of annoyed because I wanted to learn more about Yang Chen and the air nomads, and you do, but the Kyoshi novels had so much more about Kyoshi. She felt really fleshed out, and like I learned so much about her. I learned so much about the Earth Kingdoms, Kyoshi Island, and the Fire Nation in those books, but this book I felt like was really just kind of missed the mark. I wanted it to be about Yang Chen, and instead it was about this waterbender boy who was not the Avatar. Like it even had point of view chapters from him, and in Kyoshi we did not get point of view chapters from any of her other characters, I don't believe. It was just, yeah, I don't know why the author decided to do that, but sadly I won't be continuing with this. There will be another book, but I don't know. I can't really say that because I do love Avatar and I want all the Avatar content I can get, but I don't know, unless the next one kind of shifts its focus and actually is about Yang Chen, then I probably won't read it. And then we have A Million to One, which I read for my Sapphic reading vlog. So if you want to know more about my thoughts on that, definitely check out that video, which I'll have linked up there. But I liked this well enough. It was like a 3.25, same as Yang Chen. I liked that it was Sapphic, and I liked the Sapphic romance of it. But this is a Titanic historical novel, so everyone knows the story of the Titanic, so I always say that it's really hard to write a very compelling story with that as the basis of it, because you really have to have a compelling cast of characters and a compelling plot without the whole Titanic disaster. And I feel like my big thing about it is that half of the characters felt really just added on, and which was a shame because their concept of the characters, of all the characters, were really cool, but I feel like only half of them were properly fleshed out. And especially in a book as short as this, it was only just above 300 pages. There just wasn't enough time to flesh them all out. So yeah, but if you want to learn more about my thoughts of this, definitely check out my vlog. I go on and on about it. But yeah, I mean, it was good. It's a YA historical romance, and it was cute. It was good. Okay, now we're on to the 4 stars. First, we have Heart of a Sun Warrior, which is the second in the duology. The first one was Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and this is a very high fantasy book. And I do like high fantasy, but I just feel like I have the same, not complaint, but like same feeling about this book as I did the first one. There's a lot packed into these books, and they are long, but there's a lot packed into them, and I just feel like there were, I don't know, it worked in the second one a little bit more than I think it did in the first one, actually. I don't know. Maybe I just was in a better frame of mind to read it. But I mean, I'm not going to give any spoilers because it is the second one, but I do like how they handled the love triangle that was going on in the first book and how the ending happened. And I do like how in the second one, the main character kind of has not more of an agency, because she definitely had agency in the first one, but I just like her independence and her whole warrior personality in this one. I thought it was really well done. So yeah, I'm giving it a 4. It's definitely not my favorite fantasy duology, but it's up there. It's a really good one, so I definitely recommend it. It was a successful end. Okay. So the next books, people might get annoyed, but I read the entirety of the Broken Earth trilogy, and they were 4.25 for me personally. I really liked this. Of course, the world building was amazing. That is really the star of this book series, and I love good world building. I do. And K. Jemisin is she's amazing at world building and just writing in general. But for me personally, the addition of the second person point of view in these books, while I understand it had its place and it definitely served a really, really interesting and unique purpose in the story, and I think it did work, it was just hard for me to read. And it kind of took me out of the story, and it felt difficult to really feel Essence, who's the main character, to really feel her emotions and really connect with the characters because of that second person point of view. I do love Essen as a main character, and I love, like I said, I read all three of these, but I only owned the first one. I love the ending of it. I mean, I thought it was a little predictable, just a little bit, but that's fine. I mean, it worked beautifully. Basically, there is Essen, and her husband finds out that she and her children are these basically earthbenders, and they're called, what are they called? I forgot. Whatever they're called. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot this. They're these earthbenders, and they are really oppressed by society. They're not well liked, and if they are found, then they are sent to this school where basically they're like taught to like suppress their powers and also use it for the government, kind of. It's a lot to explain. I can't explain it all here, but Essen has been trying to hide her identity and her children's identity. Her husband finds out. He kills her son, which is just wild. And he goes off and kidnaps her daughter. And basically the series is Essen trying to find her daughter. And then we have the addition of the daughter's point of view in the second and third books, which I thought was really interesting. And I kind of would have liked that in the first book as well, because there's this whole conflict going on between mother and daughter, and that was super, super interesting. So yeah, I did really love these books. I thought that the whole thing with the obelisks and the world building was very, very interesting. And yeah, I will definitely read more from N.K. Jemisin in the future. I'm really glad that I read this trilogy. Okay, so another 4.25, 4.5-ish book is Kiss Her Once for Me, which I also read in that Sapphic reading vlog, so link in the description. I really, really liked this. I just loved the Christmas vibes of this. I loved the main character and the love interest. I thought that their chemistry was amazing. I really liked the fake dating trope. So basically this character is kind of has hit a rough patch in life. She's working as a barista, and the owner of the building that the cafe is in needs to marry someone in order to have access to his inheritance from his grandfather. So he picks her. So it's like a fake marriage of convenience type of thing, because in return she gets money, and she's really struggling with money, so she does that. But so what she doesn't know is that this man's sister, her, is a girl that she had a Christmas fling with, let's say, the year before. And they meet and they realize they still have feelings for each other, and it's a whole big mess, which is why this isn't a 5-star. The third act was really melodramatic. It was a little bit much for me, and I just feel like the characters said some truly heinous things to each other that I personally would not be able to forgive and move on from, and just kind of start a relationship again if that happened to me. But that's kind of a common complaint that I have with almost every adult contemporary romance that I read. So I think it's just part of the genre that I don't love. But this book, I mean, I loved it. It was a really fun read, and it was nice. It was really good. So yeah, I'm very glad I read it. So the next one, I finally finished it, is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. So if you guys have been watching my channel, you know that I started this in, I think, January or February of last year, and I stopped halfway through. I stopped for so long that it actually is indented because of the bookmark. Yeah, but I finally finished it and I loved it. It was 5 stars. I mean, come on, it was great. If you don't already know what this is about, this is about a girl who moves to New York City, and on the Q subway train, she meets this girl named Jane. And the thing about Jane is that she's not only a very hot butch, she is also stuck in a time loop sort of thing from the 1970s. So she's actually from the 70s and she has been displaced in time in modern day. And April kind of has to help Jane remember where she's from and get back to her own time. But of course they fall in love in the process. And it was so good. It was really, really good. I loved this one. I also loved Casey McQuiston's other sapphic book, I Kissed Shara Wheeler. I have not read her male romance book. It just doesn't sound like my type of thing. Not because it's male romance, but because of like the politics involved in it. I don't know. But I really like this one, so I'm definitely gonna keep reading her works. And yeah, I mean, this book was awesome. If you haven't read it yet, what are you doing? Okay, so now we're on to my top 3 favorites of the month. First, we have Legends and Lattes. I adored this book, okay? I have been wanting to read it because everyone has been raving about it, and they are all right. They are all correct. This book is amazing. It's a masterpiece. It is, of course, the book that everyone mentions when they talk about cozy fantasy, and with good reason, because this orc on the cover has decided that she is going to forgo her life of, you know, killing people and fighting, and she's going to hang up her sword and start a coffee shop. And I love her so much. It's so good. And this, I think, what is she called? A succubus or something? This little pink lady here, she becomes her assistant, and they love each other. And like it says in the cover, it is high fantasy, low stakes. There are stakes, there is a plot, but it's a really feel-good story, and it feels like a cozy cup of tea or coffee. It just feels so good, and the setting is also wonderfully done. Like, it's not just the characters that are wonderfully done, it's also the setting and the world building. Like, it really feels like you're in this tavern vibes in a high fantasy setting, and it's just so warm and delightful. Like, I can't stop smiling thinking about it. I definitely want to buy myself a copy of this, and I know that the author is coming out with the prequel as well, so I'm very excited for that. I'm definitely going to read it. Okay, we got 2 more books. Next, we have How to Excavate a Heart, which I absolutely adored. I also read it for that sapphic reading vlog. This was just awesome. This was amazing. It's a YA romance, contemporary romance about 2 Jewish girls around Christmas time, and one of them is going to DC for an internship at a museum where she talks about fossils, and that's so interesting. I think she had a really, really interesting, unique hobby and set of interests that you don't often see in a YA contemporary romance. She was a very unique character. I liked her a lot. And her love interest happens to live in DC, and they meet because the main character's mom hits her with her car. Everybody's okay, but I just thought that was a really funny meet cute to start off with. So they kind of start off as enemies because obviously she's annoyed by that, but then, you know, things happen, and it was so good. And I don't have the same complaint as I did with Kiss Her Once for Me. The 3rd act breakup misunderstanding type of thing was really realistic and really well done. I've said that in my vlog as well. It wasn't too much. It wasn't melodramatic. It's something that definitely could happen. And also, I just love this little corgi. He is a big part of the book, and I just love him so much. Like, look at his little booties. He's so precious. Okay. I love this book so much. I liked it so much, I had to go out and buy myself a copy. So definitely don't miss this book. It is so good. And my favorite book of the month, are you surprised? Monster Brew Cormorant. Yeah, I love Brew Cormorant so much. I read the Trader Brew Cormorant in January, and I'm rounding out 2022 with the sequel. I still have the Tyrant Brew Cormorant to read, which is the 3rd one, but If I finish that, then that means I'm left with nothing because Seth Dickinson has not finished the fourth and final one. So I'm really scared because I don't want to read it and then want the fourth one and not have it. So I'm trying to hold off, but I really want to read it. This was a masterpiece again. I mean, The Trade of Baruch Ormond was absolutely a masterpiece, and it is one of my favorite books of all time. This was absolutely a 5-star though. This was such a successful sequel. There's just so much in here. I don't even know if I can talk about the plot. I don't want to give spoilers, but the back. So the traitor Baruch Ormond is now a secret lord of the empire she has vowed to destroy. Hunted by a mutinous admiral, haunted by the wound that has split her mind in two, Baru leads her dearest foes on an expedition for the secret of immortality. It's her chance to trigger a war that will consume the empire that took everything she held dear. But Baru's heart is broken, and she fears she can no longer tell justice from revenge. So yeah, if you know the ending of The Traitor Baruch Ormond, the first one, yeah, that was so upsetting. And this book does such a good job at talking about the aftermath of that and the consequences and just Baru's psychology. She is continuously one of the best characters I've ever read. I love this series so much. Seth Dickinson, please write the fourth book, please. I will do anything. I need it. Alright, so that is the end of my December wrap-up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel for more bookish videos, and let me know what your favorite book was that you read in December, and I'll see you next time. Bye!